Terrific Treevils. But what a story it is. Now, some of you may be wondering, who on earth are the Terrific Treevils? Why haven't I heard of them before? Why do they get their own story? Well, you're not alone, for this story is one of myth and legend, which have been lost to the soils of time until now. Yes, now we can root out this terrific tale and share it with you in all its leafy glory. So get comfortable, relax, and join us as we embark on a journey back 150 years to the little town of Allsworth. Our story begins with James Fossil, the greatest lumberjack that has ever lived. His beard was bushy, his hands were hairy, and each one clutched at his shiny golden axe. He was loved around the town, and this morning he was on his way to chop down the tallest tree in the forest in order to make way for a new railway which the mayor of Allsworth claimed would
take us out of the dark ages and into this new age of industry. Also, don't you just love the sound in it when they fly past? Chugga chugga chugga!
Yes, the mayor was very excited, and so were the townspeople. And it was down to James as he headed out early that Monday morning to make their dreams a reality.
The sound of their cheers fall on my feet. They call out my name down every street. There's not a single person who doesn't know it. Does it go to my head? My little book. Got one thing in mind, and that's all I know. There's only one place that I need to go. The forest calls me out, there's a job to be done. I focus my mind. Shout out everyone. The fate of this town rests on my shoulder. I can't let them down, so I just walk and I smolder. I'm storming ahead, I'm breaking away. I'm taking the steps I need to seize another day. I'm not gonna quit, no, I'm not gonna stop. I'll climb every step until I reach the top. Start of a new age and we're out in first. This town is so big it's ready to burst. New people come and nobody leaves. Need to be at my peak when I'm chopping trees. I'm zooming ahead, I'm breaking away. I'm taking the steps I need to seize another day. I'm not gonna quit, no, I'm not gonna stop. I'll climb every step until I reach the top. I'm storming ahead, I'm storming ahead, I'm storming ahead, I'm storming ahead.
James ran across the forest floor like a man on a mission. With each stride he strode closer and closer to the tallest tree in the forest, flying past badgers, foxes and birds. Were they flying past him? Either way, he was gaining ground at an astounding rate, before finally...
Wow, it's humongous. This is the biggest, thickest tree I've ever laid my eyes on.
It was the biggest, thickest tree he'd ever laid his eyes on. James took out his axe, walked around the circumference of the tree trunk in awe of what he was seeing. The trunk was the size of a house. It made his axe look tiny.
Right, let's do this.
James took a deep breath and picked his spot, focusing on a tiny crack in the bark of the tree. He lifted his axe high into the air and with one mighty, miraculous maneuver, planted it into the trunk of the tree, cutting deep into its skin.
Bingo.
Releasing his axe, the gold now slightly off colour by the sap of the tree bark, James lifted it high into the air once more, ready for the second swing. Up and up and up the axe went, the sun once again glinting off its sharp edges, before finally he began to bring it thundering down.
No! Stop!
James jumped 2 feet off the ground, a shiver rushing down his spine and bringing his axe to a grinding halt. It was very difficult to surprise James Fossil, but he had almost jumped right out of his boots.
What are you doing?
What on earth? Who said that?
What do you think you're playing at?
Suddenly, as if from nowhere, hurtling towards him down the side of a tree trunk, Well, what seem to be 3 squirrels.
No, not squirrels. One looks a reddish colour, and its head is humongous, like a pine cone. One is slender, twig-like and prickly. And the last one, small, yellow, with rosy cheeks. It appears to be some sort of mushroom. I've never seen such beautiful creatures in all my...
Suddenly, the creatures leap from the tree and onto James's body, grabbing his legs, his arms, and his face.
Ouch! Hey, get off me! What's wrong with you? You crazy?
Go for the nose!
I've got his belt! Oh, look at the quality of that stitching.
Focus, Foolsville!
Oh, sorry. Attack!
Right, that's it.
Finally, James had had enough. And with one mighty burst, he flung his arms, legs, and head outwards, sending the creatures crashing to the ground.
Ow! What did you do that for?
You attacked me.
You attacked us.
You tried to steal my boots.
You tried to steal our home.
What?
Perhaps I should explain.
Good idea.
My name is Brainsville, this is Snapsville, and this is Foolsville.
Nice to meet you.
We are the Terrific Treevils, and believe it or not, we are the best friends you've never heard of.
The Terrific Treevils?
Yes, the Terrific Treevilles, and we live here in this ancient tree and have done so since time began. This is the oldest tree in the land, and there are many more like it scattered all over the forest, some over 5,000 years old. We've seen everything from Romans to Normans to Georgians.
What about the big fella with the wives?
Henry.
The 8th?
That's the one.
I don't understand.
Not too sharp, are you? Is that why you carry an axe about to balance you out?
Snapsville. Sorry, you get used to it. Been like that for 365 million years.
Right. Sure.
You're confused.
James stayed silent. He was confused. Very confused indeed.
Well then, let us explain. Listen up, cause this is important. For so long, your mind has been dormant to the power of the knowledge of the things that surround you. There's so much to discover, you haven't got a clue.
360
360,
million years ago.
that's a very long time ago. That is when
First Treeville started to grow.
I grow.
We started growing and absorbing everything that CO2.
to CO2,
Turning into
oxygen, so fresh and brand new. All you may see is a bunch of old trees. Time to let that view go, cause you know we're more you can breathe. We're the gift of life, so take a breath. Fill your lungs as we sing you from a certain death. We work our way in the cover of green, doing so much making sure we're never seen. So don't forget our unique skills. We are the Terrific Treevils. The Terrific Treevils. Wow, that's cool. I hear you cry.
That's not all. Stop the earth going dry.
We regulate the surface of the planet with our leaves.
So the temperature
Chills and we don't overheat. All you may see is a bunch of old trees. Time to let that view go, cause you know we're what you have seen. We're the
So, you guys are the reason I can breathe? The reason we can all breathe?
Exactly.
And the reason seas don't evaporate?
Oh, good. He gets it.
That's just the start. We also bring balance to the forest, making a home for all kinds of creatures, bees, birds, badgers, you name it. Without us, the whole ecosystem is at risk. That is the stability of life. So you see, if you cut our home down, you'll send the whole world into chaos. You need to help us.
James was completely in awe of what he had just heard, particularly those high notes. Terrific. But he knew he still had a duty to the town and to the mayor.
Look, I'm the most famous lumberjack in the land, and the mayor needs me to clear the forest for the new railway. I can't let him down. Cutting down trees is what I do.
Well, sometimes we have to change. Our habits, our lifestyle, even give up the things we love for the greater good.
Like when I gave up reading by candlelight.
Fire hazard.
So what's it gonna be then, eh? You gonna help us, or you just happy being a tree murderer?
Sorry. This is all a bit much. I need to clear my head.
Where are you going?
I've got to go. I'm sorry.
Conflicted and confused, the Treevilles watched as James headed back into town. What was he going to do?
James, my boy!
Just as he reached the outskirts of Allsworth, James was greeted by Frank Fossil, his father, and head of Chop It Down Co., the largest logging company in the world.
Where do you think you're going? The mayor told me he saw you leave at the crack of dawn, and yet here you are standing in front of me. Logless.
Yes, well the thing is...
James, you are the future head of this company. You can't be seen to be slacking off in the middle of the day.
Yes, but...
No excuses. You must set an example. Now, I want you back up that hill by the time I light this pipe.
Deflated, James headed back to the forest and back to the tallest tree. And sure enough, the Treevilles were waiting.
Look, I have to chop this tree down or my father's gonna kill me. I'm sorry.
Right. So let me get this straight. You let's perform a whole musical number for you, explaining that we're the reason you're alive. And you're still going to chop down our home. How very logical of you.
James, don't you see? This is bigger than you and your father. This is bigger than a railway or money or your reputation. This is life and death, James. For all of us.
Please, James. I love my home.
There was a somber pause, as no one knew quite what to say next.
Hang on. We've been going about this all wrong. It's not you we need to convince, James. It's the mayor. He's the one who wants the railway, no?
Yes, yes! And if I could just show you to him, then I'm sure he'd change his mind. He just wants what's best for his people, and I'm pretty sure being able to breathe is fairly high up on the list.
Brilliant! Well then, let's go!
Hang on a second, you numpties. How do you know we can trust him? He was hacking down our house an hour ago. He might betray us, turn us over for firewood before the day's out.
Oh,
No, I would never do that. You have to trust me. This is the only way.
I trust him. He's got a beard.
What other choice do we have?
Fine. But how do you suppose we even get to the mayor, Mr. Big Ideas?
I don't know. The city is crawling with guards. Even sneaking one of you in is going to be tricky.
Exactly. There was a stupid idea in the first place. Shame on you for getting our hopes up.
Wait, of course! Firewood! You said I might turn you into firewood.
Probably best if we stop saying that.
Sorry, what I mean is, that's exactly what they'll be expecting me to have. So why don't you all just get under my arm, play dead, and pretend to be some wood I've brought back from the forest for the mayor?
Brilliant!
That just might work.
Oh, I do love acting. To tree or not to tree.
Okay. Then let's go.
James hoisted the Treevilles under his arm and carried them off to see the mayor, careful to avoid any of the town guards along the way.
James Fossil, as I live and breathe. What a magnificent surprise. To what do I owe this pleasure?
Hello, Mr. Mayor. You look well.
I feel well, my boy. I feel well. This new railway will be the making of this town, and I simply cannot wait. You're doing us a fine service. A fine service, my boy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's actually what I've come to speak to you about.
Oh, is it? Marvellous. How are we getting on? Finished by the end of the week?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, well, no bother. It gets done when it gets done. I know you're doing your best.
What's with all the chit-chat? Come on, let's go.
Wait for the signal.
What's the signal?
That's the signal. Okay!
In a flash, Foolsville leaped out from under James's arm, sending Bringsville and Snapsville thumping to the ground in a heap. Much like you would use for...
Don't say it.
Foosville, you idiot.
Oh, I thought you said that's the signal.
What on earth is going on here? Why are these branches talking?
Listen up, because this is important.
No, sorry, we do not have time for that. We've only got 20 minutes, so... James and the Treevilles told the mayor their story and warned him what would happen if humans continued on as they were, destroying the woodlands around them. For a moment, the mayor resisted.
But what about the town? Progress? I'll be run out of office.
There won't be an office left if you keep on like this, you nincompoop.
And the trains? What about the chugga?
Believe me, Mr. Mayor, you walk into the forest one afternoon, I promise you'll hear more impressive sounds than that.
The forest? I have to admit, I've never actually been. But alright, I'll do it.
Really?
Of course! Look, if you've managed to convince James Fossil, then you've certainly managed to convince me. For the good of the people, even if they don't realise it. I'll sign an emergency decree immediately, stating that all further expansion to the town must be stopped and publicly call for every mayor in the country to do the same.
Thank you so much. You have no idea what this means to us and what this will mean to every one of your citizens.
You're a good man, Mr. Mayor.
It's only right to protect them. Although, I have to say, you surprised me, James. But I suppose I'm not as surprised as your father was when you told him.
Yeah, he was really shocked.
James handed back his golden axe to the mayor, who had gifted it to him for his service to the town long ago, and headed back to the forest with the Treevilles. Once they got back, they celebrated the victory of saving their home, dancing and singing into the night. But little did they know, they weren't out of the woods just yet.
Mayor?
Oh dear!
Frank Fossil, James's father and head of Chop It Down Co., stormed into the mayor's office and demanded answers.
Mr. Mayor, can you please explain to me what exactly it is you think you're playing at? This bill, this decree. I, Mayor of Allsworth, do hereby decree that all work on the RS3 railway should be halted at once, as it will cause direct and irreversible damage to the outer woodlands. Quiet! I also call for all mayors across the country to also halt expansion and protect your town's woodlands. It is your civic duty. Civic duty. All mayors. Mr. Mayor, are you trying to antagonize me?
No, Frank.
Well, then you must be trying to destroy my company, because this is an outrage.
Frank lunged for the mayor, grabbing him by his collar and slamming him onto the desk.
Here's what you're going to do. You are going to send a letter across the country stating that you are wrong and that works must continue. You will then publicly apologise for your lapse in judgment and explain to the townsfolk how you came up with this ludicrous idea. What were you thinking? Well, do I have to beat it out of you?
Just as Frank's fist lifted high into the air, the mayor cried,
James! It was James! It was all his idea. He asked me to do it.
What?
The mayor explained to Frank what had happened just moments earlier, not missing a single detail. Frank Fossil was shook.
James, that boy, how dare he betray me? Where did he go?
I don't.
Where?
The forest. They must have gone back to the forest. To the ancient tree.
A fit of rage washed over Frank Fossil. He threw the mayor to the floor and charged out of the office, grabbing the golden axe James had left behind just hours before.
I'll make sure you're put to good use. Make the announcement, Mr. Mayor. I expect it to be done by the time I get back, or your fate be the same as this tree's.
Back at the ancient tree, the Treevilles continued to dance and sing in celebration. However, James was not with them. He was sat alone, looking up at the sky, at the treetops.
How could I have missed this for so long? All this time, all I saw here was the opportunity for money and fame. I never stopped to actually look, to actually see what was in front of me. It's beautiful.
What matters is you changed.
Your eyes have been opened.
And now they'll never close.
Thank you for showing me all of this.
Hey, without you, we'd be warming somebody's tootsies right now.
James and the Treevilles shared a moment of appreciation for each other and for the world around them. Surrounded by the moonlight creeping through the leaves, it was the first time James had truly felt alive. And even though the sun was beginning to set, James could see a bright future ahead of...
James?
Oh dear.
Father?
James Fossil. You traitor. How dare you betray your own father like this?
Father, you don't understand. We have to protect the forest. It's for our own good.
Nonsense. You've been brainwashed. Brainwashed by these monsters.
Rude.
How can you be so naive? Listening to these filthy creatures. Don't you see they're trying to trick you?
No, Father, they aren't. They're trying to save us.
If you really believe that, you're more of a disappointment to me than I thought.
Please, listen. You have to listen.
Oh, there's only one thing I have to do.
Frank Fossil raced towards the ancient tree, the golden axe in hand. Blinded by anger, eyes red with revenge, he raised the axe high into the air, the golden blade blazing with the dying light of the sunset.
No!
James sprinted to intercept his father, grabbing the axe mid-swing and clutching it tightly as the two of them locked eyes, holding the axe high above them, the Treevilles' fate hanging in the balance.
Let go, James.
Never!
I'm warning you, this is your last chance.
No! Father, this has to stop. You have to end this now.
So be it.
Frank Fossil stamped on James's boot with all the force he could muster, crunching James's toes beneath. Crying out in agony, James let go of the axe and fell to the ground as Frank continued to surge forward. Helplessly looking on from the fallen leaves, James could see the Treevilles watching in desperation as his father raised the golden axe once more to destroy their home once and for all.
Our home!
No! Please!
Don't do this!
It was useless. Frank Fossil wouldn't listen. All he could hear now was the sound of money filling his pockets as he grinned with greed.
Nobody messes with Frank. Chop it down, Fossil.
The golden axe fell from the skies and soared towards the trunk of the tree. This was it. This was the end. The end of the Treevilles. The end of the...
Stop that, man!
It was the mayor. But he wasn't alone. He had two guards either side of him. Shocked, Frank Fossil's swing missed the tree and the axe flew out of his hand, slicing into the grass beneath him.
Frank Chop It Down Fossil, you are under arrest. Cuff him, gentlemen.
The guards did just that, grabbing one giant arm each and sliding them into unbreakable handcuffs.
Let go of me! Let go, you clowns! Don't you know who I am?
The guards knew exactly who he was, and they did not let go.
Take him to the cells. I'll deal with him tomorrow.
You're a fool, Mr. Mayor. You'll regret this as long as you live.
Well, thanks to these beautiful creatures, I hope that will be a very long time.
And with that, the guards yanked a kicking and screaming Frank Fossil back down the hill to the Allsworth prison cells, safe out of harm's way. The Treevilles and James jumped for joy. They'd done it!
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You saved our home.
How can we ever repay you?
Oh, you're a hero.
Repay me? It is I who should be repaying you. You do so much for us and ask for nought, but to be left alone to do your work. And we can't even grant you that. Well, today, that changes. For good. From now on, I will do all it takes to protect this beautiful place.
I've only ever seen this from a distance, as a hurdle to be cleared out of the way. Never gave a second thought to its existence, or what could be discovered here someday. Didn't open up my mind to what beauty I might find, I'm ashamed to say. But now I see the sun dance on the leaves, and sounds I've never heard swirl through me head. Fill the berries of the bushes, tears the breeze, for what was now 'tis everything instead. A whole world that is new, and it's all thanks to you and the words you said. You've woken up my senses to a new world. You've opened up my mind and set it free. The beauty of a hidden place, lost amongst the trees. For the first time I'm awake, now I can see. You've woken up our senses to a new world. You've opened up our mind and set it free. The beauty of a hidden place, lost amongst the trees. For the first time we're awake, now we can see.
The mayor stayed with James and the Treevilles that night, camping under the stars and taking in everything the forest had to offer. Both the mayor and James were changed for good. A few months passed, and with James as the new head of Chop It Down, he and the Treevilles were able to campaign with the mayor for every town and city across the country to copy Allsworth's example, renaming the company to Keep It Up. Allsworth itself became famous for the founding of the Treevilles, and once a year, people from all around the world came to the town to celebrate Treeville Day, marking their discovery. It was the biggest party of the year!
Everybody rally round, as it's today.
We celebrate
The moment that we found the heroes of this town. Throw your hands up to the sky, scream out their name.
Don't be ashamed.
No longer have to hide, they're talked about worldwide. So breathe it in and breathe it out, let the air fill your lungs, and tell the world what They saved us all. We celebrate the terrific Treevilles. Celebrate the terrific Treevilles. Celebrate the terrific Treevilles. We've opened up our hearts to new wonders.
We celebrate.
Stop tearing things apart. Here's a chance to restart. Now we can see the earth's alive.
Don't be ashamed.
Stand back and watch it fly. Just open up your eyes and breathe it in and breathe it out. Let the air fill your lungs. Then tell the world what it is all about. Oceans lay low, the trees rain tall. They saved us all. We celebrate the terrific Treevilles. Breathe it out. Let the air fill your lungs. Then tell the world what it is all about. Oceans lay low, the trees rain tall. They saved us all. We celebrate the terrific Treevilles. Celebrate the terrific Treevilles. Celebrate the terrific